Hey everybody, Mike B back here with another firearm related video. Today we're going to be going over, by popular request, the top 5 surplus firearms you should get in 2019. Now I'm going to preface this entire video with kind of explaining the current state of affairs with military surplus firearms, or just surplus firearms we're going to say. That's another thing I'll discuss. The past couple years have not been good for surplus at all as far as military stuff coming in and actually being affordable. Mosin Nagants are over $300 now, which is insane, and the ones that are sub 300 are, well, not that great. So my overall advice to you, honestly, you might not want to hear this, is to stop buying about 95% of surplus firearms, okay? They're way overpriced, and the game is just kind of becoming not fun anymore because of that. They're all super expensive, and for what they are, you can actually get a modern firearm, such as like an AR-15 or an AK series rifle, even some other stuff, or some really nice handguns for the same price. Ammo's cheaper, easier to get. Sure, they don't have the collectible historical value, but at this point, unless you've got a ton of money, really the surplus game is pretty much over, because even if they find a million more Mosin Nagant 9130s, they're still going to be at the price people are still dishing out for them, which is why I strongly suggest just not buying them anymore. You can disagree with that all you want. That's my opinion. It's not a fact. But the good news is it's not totally over. It's not totally dead. So I'm going to give you a list today of the top 5 surplus firearms I think you should get. These are going to be both military and police surplus from around the world. And we're going to go kind of based on affordability, availability of ammunition, collectability, and just overall functionality and kind of cool, nice deals on surplus firearms that, I think you should get, obviously. So we're going to start out the list. Number 5 here, we've got the Romanian TTC. Okay, so this is the Romanian kind of copy or clone of the TT-33 Tokarev pistol, widely used in Soviet bloc countries and the Soviet Union. It's actually still used today in kind of a criminal aspect just because of the cartridge it fires. So the Tokarev series, the TT series pistols fire a 7.60 by 25 millimeter cartridge. Now this thing is really hot. This thing will go through level 3 body armor. It's, obviously I've used it on ballistic tests and videos, and it definitely cuts through helmets, no problem, on most helmets. A couple of them defeated it, which is interesting, but overall for a pistol round, that's a very hot cartridge and very cool. Now, what I like about the TTC is the fact that, obviously it's going to have the mandatory safety on it for all the imports and stuff, but it's just a solid gun. They're steel, and they've got the plastic and or Bakelite handguards, more than likely plastic because these came out in the 50s. This one's dated 1952, as you can see. Now these are available from several different retailers for like around $200 to $250, and generally what I've seen is they're going to be in this condition. I got this several years ago for under $200, which is definitely something I don't regret. We'll move on now. And we'll move on to number 4. Coming in at a solid 4th place is the Czechoslovakian VZ, or CZ we know it as, but the VZ82 pistol. This is a kind of adaptation of the Soviet Makarov pistol. Fires the same cartridge, the 9x18 Makarov. CZ82, just like most Czechoslovakian firearms, utilizes a Soviet cartridge, but it has its own little twist on the design. So this is fed from a 12-round magazine, right? You can fit 13 rounds with one in the tube, which is why I love this thing. I've made videos on this thing. I've shot it, and it's one of my favorite military surplus handguns ever, just because it's so smooth. Yeah, just an overall great handgun. Pretty affordable now. They're about $300, depending where you could find them. Minus a couple dollars, add a couple dollars based on condition. The CZ82 comes in at a solid 4th place for a military surplus handgun. The CZ82 at 4th place. Coming in 3rd place solidly, still for several years running, is the Turkish Model 1938 Mauser. So really any model that's in 8mm for Turkish Mauser, the 1893 through the 1938 model. But this is probably going to be the most common one you see, so I kind of went with that. So again, it fires the 8x57mm or 7.92 by 57mm, a beast of a cartridge comparable to a 30-06. Very widely used cartridge, still in use today in the Middle East and other countries. So the cartridge is good. It's actually really easy to get commercially. Surplus does pop up once in a while, so that's another reason for this. And just look at that. I mean, this is a nice one with the unfinished stock, which I kind of left, and then the bluing is really nice on it. But even if you find one that's less pretty, they're still functionally, essentially a German Mauser, right? And equipment before and after the Second World War, and to Turkey, and a lot of these were made under license at first before the Third Reich kind of collapsed and that whole thing happened. So these are actually German quality Mausers, and people think they're garbage because they're Turkish. They're not. They're actually some of the best rifles you can get for the money. If you are going to chop one up and sporterize it, that's your prerogative, but the actions are really strong. Sorry about the shadows, guys. The actions are really strong. It's just a large ring 98 action. I have taken Gewehr 98 bolts out and K98 bolts out. They are interchangeable. They work just fine. So these are made to German specs, and I just can't believe they're still as cheap as they are. They're getting more expensive this year, though, which is why I'm kind of telling you to jump on it. This might be the last video these are featured in, because people are finally discovering that these are essentially a Gewehr 98 that's got Turkish markings on it and a couple aesthetic differences. Other than that, these are fantastic rifles. I have yet to find one that I shot that can't hit what I'm aiming at and is very reliable. I've never had a malfunction with one, as hard as that is to believe. And they're just a solid rifle. You can hit stuff at a long way with these things. And the best part is you can get these for under $300 if you really are patient and try. People are asking insane amounts for them now, but don't pay that because it'll just drive the price up. Keep it under $300 for a Turkish model 1938 or any model, 1903, 1893. You will not be sorry. Just get one. You don't need to get a bunch of these. I don't see these things going up in value like, 10,000% like a bunch of other rifles have. But still is not going to hurt to have them. They're fun as hell. They're a hard hitter, great for hunting, and they're pretty cool. So third place, we've got the Turkish model 1938 Mauser. Coming in second place is yet another handgun. I know this year's not really good for rifles. Those are really expensive, but these Spanish Star Model BM handguns are still widely available from several retailers, and they're very affordable. They're around $200, right? And I think the reason people don't like them is because of the fact that they're not, Lugers or something that was widely used in combat and has a cool story and history to it, or so they think. These guns are actually extremely well made. The Star model of handguns has been used since before World War II. It's just a clone of the 1911, chambered in 9mm with a couple little aesthetic differences, but functionally it's exactly the same. Now, what I love about these is the fact that they're compact, right? They're very heavy little guns. They're compact, they're super comfortable. They feature nice, easy to use safety right there. I've done videos on this, so this is a shooter grade, which is going to have a little bit more wear on it, but most of the ones that you're going to find now are going to be a lot nicer condition than this. It's a single action, so you got to cock it to start, and then it's semi-automatic after that, just like a 1911. And these things fire the 9x19mm cartridge, which is extremely common, which is why this is in second place, due to the price, around $200, and the fact that it fires probably the most common pistol round in the world at this point. The magazines are kind of harder to find, but they're still readily available with the new shipments that are coming in. They're about 20 bucks a piece usually. Not bad. And for somebody that doesn't have firearms, this is a great starter gun for like home defense. Get familiar with it, learn how to shoot. It's very comfortable, very reliable, and very accurate. For how small it is, or how short the barrel is, a very accurate little gun. I did a video on there a while back, and man, I was hitting the target, and I'm not the best pistol shooter, as you guys probably know, and this thing was right on point. Now, these are police trade-ins, right, from Spain. They're not technically military guns. That doesn't bother me, all right? Surplus is surplus, all right? We get LEO trade-in handguns here, like Glocks and Smith & Wesson MMPs and other things, Berettas, and everybody loves those, but for some reason, everybody kind of just looks past these guys, and they're going to regret it someday. So coming in at second place, I would highly recommend, before they're all gone, because again, with any kind of surplus guns, these are only made for a certain amount of time and certain numbers. So when they're gone, you're going to probably regret not getting one of these, and you're going to have to pay more. So take advantage of this. Strike while the iron's hot. It's a great deal on a gun. I actually may get a few more of these. I already have two, but just for the fact that they're so easy to use and so well built and very, very cheap right now. So go ahead and get yourself a Star Model BM handgun in second place. Now, for the first place, we're actually going to have a rifle, and it's probably not going to be what you expect. So keep watching. All right, before we get to this last one, which is going to be really fun, and you guys are probably it's going to cause a lot of controversy, just want to remind you to subscribe to my channel and consider supporting me using the links in the description. I appreciate all the donations I get and the help. It helps me be able to afford cool videos in the summertime when there's not 10 feet of snow on the ground, going out and shooting guns and showing you guys what they do and how they perform, and doing helmet ballistic tests and stuff like that. So anyway, this last one, just keep watching. I will explain everything, why I chose it as my #1 choice for the top military surplus firearm that you should buy in 2019. Yep, you're gonna be like, it's not military surplus, it's a civilian receiver. You would be 100% correct. So, basically what I'm saying is, it seems that recently, a bunch of M16A1 parts kits, specifically Colt parts kits, got found somewhere, right? Most of the kits come without the barrels or the receiver, obviously the lower receiver. But you can get the pencil barrels, the 20 inchers, and if you're really smart and you don't want the original 1 in 12 twist barrel to use M193 55 grain ammunition, and you want to just have all of your ARs, because I suppose you have modern rifles, use the M855 62 grains, you can get a new barrel that's a 1 in 7 twist that looks exactly like this. They're being made. And ARs aren't super hard to put together. There's a billion tutorials on Facebook, or Facebook, why they're all one to me. YouTube, my bad, the site that you're watching this on right now. There's a ton of tutorials on how to build an AR. This is no different. It's just aesthetically, it's an A1. Now, the parts kits themselves are military surplus, and if you look hard enough, you can probably find an original surplus barrel, okay, which would make it more surplus. Obviously, you're not going to be able to have the original receiver because it's the select fire full auto, be a machine gun, class 3 thing. But if you're okay with having everything be an original A1 besides the lower receiver, and it functions just like one, and semi-automatic, obviously I got to give these little disclaimers because otherwise people are going to be like, it does not function the same, it's not fully automatic, select fire, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, these are cool rifles to have, not just for the history, but the fact that for a while, A1 kits were nowhere to be found, right? Many years, and I was even looking for one. And now all of a sudden they popped up, and they're a little bit more expensive. But here's the thing. A barrel's going to run you about $100, right? The original pencil barrel. You can get different flash hiders on there and everything. If you want to get the correct A1 lower receiver, I think Nodak Spud makes some replicas of that, and they're really high quality. But if you don't really care about the super historical accuracy of it for the time being, you can just get like an Anderson lower, and you have what essentially looks like and it functions like an M16A1. Now, a lot of these parts kits are from the 80s, but that really doesn't matter. You're going to have what is, the original AR-15, and you can actually do it for under $1,000, which is really cool. And it'll actually be a military parts kit, which will increase the value versus like one of the reproductions that are being made for one of the various companies. So yeah, this is why I'm saying this year, maybe take advantage of one of these retro AR builds, learn how to build an AR or assemble, whatever you AR15.com guys prefer me say. Learn how to assemble an AR-15. It's pretty fun. The tools are not that expensive, and chances are somebody with all the tools, and they'll probably let you use them. They're really fun, and I would highly recommend it, because then you'll have a nice piece of history, right, with the parts kit being original Colt, and it'll be a gap you can fill in your collection. So if you got like a Charleville or a Brown Bess all the way up until the M4 or whatever they're going to come out with next, this can fill a heck of a gap in your collection. So that's all I've got for top 5 surplus firearms you should buy in 2019. I do apologize if the first one, this one right here, didn't meet your expectations, but from what I can speculate, these things just a few years ago, like built like this on a civilian receiver, were about $400 or $500. You could find them pretty much anywhere. Very affordable, and then they dried up and the price shot up significantly. It more than doubled for a repro even, not just one built on a parts kit. So if you can get one of these this year, I guarantee you it'll probably be worth the investment. So thanks for watching, everybody. Sorry about the glare on here, these lights. Stock isn't white. Thanks for watching, everybody. Make sure you, like I said, subscribe to the channel, and look forward to seeing you on future videos. Hopefully you guys can get all these guns, because I love them, and you will too. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you next time.